Ready to dissect another gaming disaster? Today's victim, the 3DO. This so-called revolution promised to change everything, but instead it crashed and burned harder than an ET cartridge in the New Mexico desert. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the world of overpriced hardware, questionable marketing, and games that tried to be more mature than a rated R movie. Get ready to experience the pain. This system had it all: big promises, impressive tech specs for its time, and enough hype to make a used car salesman blush. But just like that friend who swears they have a foolproof get-rich-quick scheme, the 3DO couldn't back it up. We're going to rip into the guts of this console, expose its flaws, and try to figure out what went so wrong. So grab a cold one, settle in, and prepare to witness the rise and fall of a console that dared to dream big but ended up a cautionary tale. This is the story of the 3DO, The year was 1993. The 16-bit wars were raging, with Sega and Nintendo locked in a battle for supremacy. But amidst the chaos, a new contender emerged, promising to change the game entirely. This was the vision of Trip Hawkins, the founder of Electronic Arts and a man who knew a thing or two about shaking up the industry. Hawkins's brainchild was the 3DO, a console unlike any other. It wasn't just a piece of hardware, it was a radical concept for a gaming platform that transcended the traditional console wars. The 3DO wouldn't be owned by a single company. Instead, it would be licensed to multiple manufacturers, creating a diverse range of 3DO-compatible machines at various price points. This open platform approach was revolutionary. It promised to usher in a new era of gaming, one where innovation and creativity flourished, unshackled by the limitations of proprietary hardware. It was an ambitious dream, a vision of a future where gamers wouldn't be limited by corporate interests. At the helm of this ambitious venture was Trip Hawkins, a figure already well known in the gaming world. Hawkins had co-founded Electronic Arts, becoming a major player in the industry. But with the 3DO, he set his sights on something even bigger, revolutionizing the very concept of a gaming platform. Hawkins wasn't alone in this endeavor. He assembled a team of talented engineers and developers at the 3DO company, all united by the goal of creating a console unlike any other. Names like Dave Needle and R.J. McCall, pioneers in computer graphics and game design, joined the ranks, bringing their expertise to the table. The 3DO company, however, wasn't in the business of manufacturing consoles. Their role was to design the technology, the architecture, and the specifications for the 3DO platform. They would then license this technology to other companies, allowing them to manufacture and sell their versions of 3DO-compatible consoles. The 3DO was a technological marvel for its time, boasting specs that left the 16-bit competition in the dust. At its heart was a 32-bit RISC processor, a cutting-edge chip that promised blistering fast performance. This was coupled with a custom graphics processing unit capable of rendering detailed 3D environments and pushing polygons like nobody's business. But the 3DO's technological prowess wasn't limited to raw processing power. It was also one of the first consoles to embrace CD-ROM technology. This meant games could be larger, more immersive, and feature CD-quality audio. Goodbye scratchy MIDI tunes and pixelated sprites. Hello full-motion video and orchestral soundtracks. On paper, the 3DO was a beast. It had the potential to blow the competition out of the water, ushering in a new era of gaming dominated by cinematic experiences and cutting-edge graphics.
Peripherals. The 3DO system supported a variety of peripherals, both official and third-party, which enhanced its functionality and gaming experience. Some of the key peripherals included: 1. 3DO Gamepad, the standard controller for the system, featuring a unique design with 6 face buttons, a directional pad, and to-shoulder buttons. It was generally well received for its comfortable grip, though its button layout was considered unconventional compared to other consoles of the time. 2. Multi-Tap. This peripheral allowed for multiplayer support in certain games. By connecting to the system's controller port, it enabled up to 8 players to join in for multiplayer experiences, which was quite ahead of its time in terms of offering more than the usual two-player setup. 3. 3DO Light Gun. The 3DO's light gun was designed for use in shooting games, enabling a more immersive experience for titles that supported it. such as Asterisk The Need for Speed Asterisk and Asterisk Street Fighter, the movie Asterisk. 4. 3DO Steering Wheel. For racing games, the 3DO released a steering wheel peripheral that provided a more authentic driving experience, designed specifically for games like Need for Speed and Road and Track Presence, the Need for Speed. 5. Third-party peripherals. A range of third-party accessories also emerged for the 3DO system, including memory cards, alternate controllers, and specialized peripherals like the Force Feedback Controller, which featured vibration feedback in response to in-game actions. System software. The 3DO system, although relatively short-lived, boasted a number of notable games across various genres. Some of the most recognized titles included 1. The Need for Speed 1994, one of the system's most iconic titles. This was a groundbreaking racing game known for its open-world design and realistic driving physics. It is often credited with defining the high-speed racing genre on consoles. 2. Gex 1995, a platformer featuring a quirky gecko. Gex was notable for its humor, pop culture references, and its mix of 2D and 3D gameplay. It became one of the system's best-selling titles and later made its way to other platforms. 3. Road Rash 1994, a motorcycle racing game that combined racing with combat. Road Rash was well received for its arcade-style action, bringing intense motorcycle races along with brutal combat mechanics. 4. Star Control 2 1994, known for its complex story and space exploration mechanics, Star Control 2 became a cult classic, praised for its innovative gameplay and deep narrative. 5. Myst 1995. This adventure game became one of the 3DO's most well-known and critically acclaimed releases. It was famous for its beautiful, pre-rendered visuals and puzzle-based exploration, eventually becoming one of the best-selling PC games of all time. 6. Lords of the Realm 2 1996, a real-time strategy game where players manage medieval kingdoms. Lords of the Realm 2 was a notable title for 3DO's early efforts in the RTS genre. Other notable games include FIFA International Soccer, Samurai Showdown, Way of the Warrior, and Dragon's Lair, the interactive movie game. Despite a relatively small library, the 3DO system boasted some very strong and memorable games. Different models, the 3DO system underwent several iterations during its lifespan, but they all shared similar core hardware. Some of the most notable versions and manufacturers include 1. The original 3DO Panasonic FZ1, the first model, released by Panasonic in 1993, was a bulky and somewhat expensive console. It featured a top-loading CD drive and was praised for its multimedia capabilities. The price was one of the major barriers to its widespread adoption, initially priced at around $699 at launch. 2. Panasonic FZ10 1994, a slimmer and more affordable version of the original 3DO. The FZ10 came with an improved design, a front-loading CD drive, and a lower price point of around $399. This version was more widely distributed and considered the definitive version of the 3DO. 3. Sanyo Interactive Multiplayer 1994. Sanyo also manufactured a version of the 3DO, though it wasn't as widely marketed or distributed as the Panasonic units. The Sanyo model was more compact and slightly different in design. 4. Goldstar 3DO 1994. The Korean company LG Goldstar also produced a version of the 3DO. Like the Panasonic versions, it used similar hardware, but it was often cheaper due to local manufacturing, and it provided a more cost-effective option for buyers in certain regions. 5. Other manufacturers. Other companies like Samsung and Creative Labs also briefly offered 3DO-compatible units, but these were limited in scope, often released in specific regions. Marketing strategy. The 3DO had an ambitious, but ultimately flawed marketing strategy. Unlike most consoles, the 3DO was marketed as a multimedia entertainment system, emphasizing its advanced capabilities, including video, music, and gaming all in one box. This made it an attractive option for users interested in more than just gaming. Key strategies included 1. Celebrity endorsements. 3DO utilized prominent figures like Trip Hawkins, the system's creator, as well as celebrities such as Shaquille O'Neal, who featured in ads for Shaq Fu. The use of high-profile personalities was aimed at boosting the 3DO's image as a cutting-edge, next-gen product. 2. Media hype and pricing. The 3DO's high launch price of $699 was one of the central issues. Despite offering superior graphics and capabilities at the time, the price alienated many potential customers. Competing with established players like the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, the 3DO was seen as prohibitively expensive. 3. Retail partnerships and DMOS. 3DO worked on securing retail partnerships with major outlets like Best Buy, showcasing in-store DMOS of the system's superior graphics to capture consumer interest. However, this approach couldn't combat the high initial cost. Decline. The decline of the 3DO system was a result of several factors. 1. High price point. The initial $699 price tag proved too much for most consumers, especially given that more affordable options like the Sony PlayStation and Sega Saturn were emerging in the market. Even after price cuts, the 3DO struggled to compete with systems that offered similar or better performance at a lower cost. 2. Lack of exclusive games. While the 3DO had some solid titles, it lacked the standout exclusive games that helped other consoles succeed. With the rise of Sony's PlayStation, which benefited from strong third-party support, 3DO was unable to match that momentum. 3. Competition from Sony and Sega. The PlayStation and Saturn both launched in the mid-90s with more aggressive pricing and a strong lineup of games, ultimately overshadowing the 3DO. Sony's strategic partnerships and effective marketing put the PlayStation on a much faster growth trajectory. By 1996, 3DO ceased production of the hardware, and the company transitioned to publishing software, marking the end of its console hardware efforts. Sales. The 3DO system's worldwide sales are estimated to be around 2 million units. This was far below the success of major competitors like the PlayStation, Nintendo 64, or even the Sega Saturn. The system's sales were primarily concentrated in North America, where it launched first, but the high price point and limited library meant that it failed to achieve widespread adoption. While individual games like the Need for Speed and Gex performed relatively well, the 3DO's overall commercial performance was disappointing, with its sales numbers trailing far behind other consoles of its generation. Legacy. The legacy of the 3DO is nuanced. While it was not a commercial success, its impact on gaming technology was significant. 1. Multimedia capabilities. The 3DO was one of the first consoles to truly embrace multimedia functionality, including support for FMV, full motion video, CD quality sound, and high-quality 3D graphics for its time. Its CD-based media helped push the industry toward embracing CD-ROMs as a standard for consoles. 2. Pioneering CD-ROM gaming. While other consoles eventually adopted CD-ROM technology, the 3DO was among the first to capitalize on this shift, paving the way for Sony's PlayStation and the Sega Saturn, both of which would later dominate the market. 3. Influence on future consoles. The 3DO influenced the design of later consoles, particularly in the areas of multimedia support, 3D graphics, and CD-ROM usage. Its legacy can be seen in the PlayStation and Saturn, both of which benefited from its experimentation with CD-based gaming and the focus on higher-end graphics. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below letting me know what you think. Until next time, may legends be born.